Well, in the middle of all of this, and after that second lightning strike that affected the Aikenhof pumping station, or a substation that supplied power to it, rather, this week, the mayor of Joburg, has said that there is no crisis in Joburg when it comes to water. Ravin Singh is a community activist and a member of the Joburg Water Crisis Committee. He's in an area which has had major problems. Ravin, good afternoon to you. I mean, when we look at everything that's been happening, the public comments by the mayor, the officials at Joburg Water, Rand Water, do you believe they're on top of the situation? They actually understand what's happening?
Stephen, I would like to believe that they're on top of the situation, but it does not seem so in reality. I think far more needs to be done to communicate in a very clear way to citizens if they want to rebuild trust and if they want to rebuild confidence. I'm glad that I heard the interview with the minister. I think he's been quite open and very clear about what the problems are. And it's refreshing that he points to the infrastructural challenges, he points to the old pipes, he points to the population growth. And unfortunately, in the city of Johannesburg, and it didn't start with this mayor, it would have started a term back or 2 terms back, there was insufficient thinking, insufficient control over illegal densification in some parts of Johannesburg, especially where our organization started, areas fed by the Alexandra Park and Berea reservoirs. We constantly get messages about the system or the reservoirs being critically low to high due to high demand, and that there would be little to no pressure. Now, for us, this wasn't a gradual thing. It suddenly happened, 6 or 7 months ago. And there are many questions that we are asking. Has allotments to these reservoirs changed, for example? Has policy around this changed? Why are these areas being targeted? In particular, who decides on supply to these particular reservoirs? So all of these things, we feel that the city is not dealing with it adequately in terms of responding to citizens. Now, it's fair enough to say to us, pressure is low and there's insufficient supply or there's overconsumption. Yet residents complain every day about pipes leaking on the streets. Overnight, on Monday night, between Monday and Tuesday, we had reports of 15 leaking pipes that are more than a week old in our part of the city, right? That has not been attended to by Joburg Water. Now, how do you ask people to reduce consumption? How do you build confidence in that context where people are seeing water is being wasted? Right? We've also heard the figure bandied about that residents need to cut, or people who use water need to cut water or consumption by 10%. Now, you are running an aerial campaign. An aerial campaign is not practical enough for ordinary people in communities. And communities are highly organized now through WhatsApp groups, through street committees and all of these things. And I don't think the city is doing enough to engage with citizens at grassroots level. When we want to engage, and I think on a media platform, we were accused by the mayor of seeking work, paid work from the city. And that's completely untrue. We want to help as people who are activists in our community, who care about the city, who care about where we live. And we want to work in partnership with the city. But we're not getting any joy or much joy from the city.
A lot of it, there's strange things that happen. So, for example, in the Randburg-Blegauri area, the mayor said that a Rand water valve was in the wrong position. And one single valve was in the wrong position, which meant people were without water for a long time. And that immediately led to a suspicion on certain WhatsApp groups, the kind of WhatsApp groups I'm talking about, Ravin, where people immediately say, is this sabotage? And there's a cynicism that has entered into these conversations. And I have sympathy with you because you've opened doors to the mayor, I remember when we spoke to you last time, all you wanted was a meeting. Then you get accused of things, and as you've said, you're innocent of those charges, and I believe that you are innocent of those charges. What I'm trying to get to, is that there's a cynicism, a breakdown of the relationship. And this is one of the real problems. There's no trust. I think the Minister wants to make a change. But when it comes to what's happening in Joburg, I worry that we need to rebuild some trust here.
No, exactly. And the starting point to rebuilding trust is engagement. Now, we don't expect the engineers or people from Joburg Water to leave the work that they are doing on the ground, right? But we need them to build systems alongside the water systems that communicate with people in a more effective way. We need them to reach out to community-based organizations, not just ours, so that we can engage our members about conserving water, right? The Minister says supply is not really a problem right now, but we have to be mindful about it because we live in a water-scarce country. And if we want people to cut consumption, you need a concerted campaign. And you can't have a concerted campaign if people are talking past each other. We've avoided playing the man. We've not issued any statement being highly critical of the mayor, people in Joburg Water. We've not engaged in name-calling. We want to work with people. And it's not just us. We know that the Water Forum, WaterCan, OUTA, civic organizations throughout the city want to work with the city. But the city does not have a plan for how it engages with citizens. It needs to change. And we can help them with that.
Have you been able to ever actually have a proper meeting with the mayor or the senior officials in charge here? And when I say the senior officials in charge here, I sometimes need to scratch my head because Rand Water will sometimes say, we have a problem. Joburg Water will blame Rand Water. Rand Water will say, no, we're doing what we can. The National Department isn't giving you enough water from the Vaal Dam. The National Department will say, we're not giving you more water from the Vaal Dam because we need to plan ahead. And I mean, I hate to use this phrase, but the blame just goes down the pipe.
Late last year, we were able to attend it. Yeah. I think the signs are that there's some improvement in terms of the relationship between the National Department, Rand Water, and the city of Johannesburg and Joburg Water. It is not as difficult as it was at the start of the crisis. Right? So that's a good sign. We've attended two meetings. One meeting organized by WaterCan, where the National Department, Rand Water, and Joburg Water attended that meeting. We were inspired by the engineers that work in these different departments. I think they're trying really hard to get things done. They're being let down by the lack of budgets and so on, and the challenge of replacing old infrastructure. We had a meeting with the mayor. I can't remember whether it was after we had spoken to you, but lots of commitments were made. It seems like it was a tick box exercise, like a meet and greet kind of thing. There were some commitments, but nothing has happened beyond that. The mayor talks about a task team. We yet to see anything emerge from that task team, even a meeting with us to say, how do we work together? What is it that you are bringing to the table? So I think people are in the election mood. They could be in the election mood. So you're meeting and greeting and not actually getting down to the nitty-gritty and fixing things. But when you have a crisis like this, you really need to work with people. I mean, it needs to be very practical. It's raining in my part of Johannesburg now. How many people really understand what it takes to collect rainwater or to harvest rainwater? How do we do this at a very practical level? How do we train people around this? What to do with shower water? How do you wash your car? What do you do with your swimming pool? We need to have those conversations. A little tagline at the end of your update or something tweeted by Joburg Water or Rand Water is not enough to get people to change their behavior in terms of water use. That's one aspect in terms of people changing their behavior. But the other is you keep talking about the 44% or 40% of water wasted. Why are you not using data available, especially in the two areas that I pointed to, the areas supplied by the Alexandra and Berea reservoirs?
Right.
How much water are you billing for? How much water are you exactly supplying? What is the gap? How much of that can you attribute towards leaks? And how much of that can you attribute through to illegal densification and people not paying for their bills. The city is not using big data, and we have a technical team that can advise them on these issues without pay.
Ravin Singh, thank you. Community activist from the Joburg Water Crisis Committee.
Thank you.
Really do appreciate the time.